Hey everyone, it's episode 2 of the Please Your Life podcast. Wherever you're listening, if you feel free to leave a review, feel light to leave a rating, go for it. But again, don't do it out of pity. I want you to genuinely take things from this podcast. I want to help you break free from your people-pleasing ways if you find yourself trapped in that. And here's the thing. If you're like me and you lived your life as a people pleaser, and I'm talking decades on decades, it's a little difficult. So that's why this podcast exists. That's why these conversations exist. And today, honestly, we're going to talk about everything left and right, but today we're talking about that one thing that everyone talks about. I especially hear a lot about this word, or I hear this word a lot, I should say, in my space in the coaching industry. And that is life purpose. The hell is life purpose anyway? I mean, honestly, what is life purpose? Don't you ever find yourself asking that question? I feel like that is such a heavy undertaking to ask someone, what is your life purpose? It's almost like, well, it is like when we graduated high school. Maybe you didn't even graduate high school. And listen, my hat is off to you. Truly, it really is. If you didn't, I love it. I don't have any judgment. There is no structure here whatsoever. I appreciate you. I love that you chose that path. But when I graduated high school, it was like, you have to have your shit figured out. Know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Who the hell knows that? And here's the thing. Everybody who thought they knew it, well, most people who thought they knew it, right? I was always jealous of those people and super, super envious. I'm like, how do you know this is what you want to do forever? That is huge. At what, 17, 18 years old, maybe even 16, if you're an overachiever and you graduated high school that soon, hats off to you as well. How do you know? How do you even know? That is crazy to me. And I was always jealous, and I always felt very weird for not knowing. I always felt very uncomfortable and out of place for not knowing my life purpose. Within like just over a decade, almost 2 decades of life, and I didn't have it figured out. But 2 decades of life is nothing. It's nothing. It is so minuscule in the grand scheme. So when I went to school, I decided to go with my heart. And I have people in my life who are like, stop leading with your heart, Kat. Stop leading with your heart. And I would always feel bad about it. And I would always feel down that I lead with my heart. But I don't feel like that anymore. Because listen, I wake up every day and I feel joyful with my job. I feel joyful in my purpose. And I'm going to get to this in a minute. But I always had people judging me for leading with my heart. And I decided to move down to Nashville from Pennsylvania and study music. I studied vocal jazz for a couple of years in Nashville. It was the best thing ever. I mean, music is just a totally new, inspiring type of way to connect with spirit for me. It's very therapeutic, very cathartic. And hello to all of my Nashville friends listening, if you are. If you're not, I'll be stalking you later. No, I'm kidding. I loved my time in Nashville, and I just followed my heart, and my parents supported me, which was amazing. Great parenting. Like, to support your daughter moving 11 hours away to say, hey, listen, I might be working in a boot store on Broadway, but I kind of want to do this, and I want to see what can happen from it. Did I get a record deal? No. Did I try? Not really. I was struggling through music theory, so that was a whole different story, which is literally the bane of my existence. I am not a composer, never have been. And so that was always a challenge. It's like literally the math of music. So no, does not align with me, does not work. Anywho, I digress. I severely digress. So I moved and I did that. And maybe some of you have taken these big leaps. I have one of my team members, she literally moved from PA cross country to California, which is amazing. Like, some people would never do that. And I think it's so beautiful that she just took a stand in her sovereignty and did what she wanted to do. There is something to be said with leading with the heart. And I will have you know, spiritually speaking, the heart is our highest vibrational frequency that we can operate through. What does that mean? That means that it's true. Wherever our heart is leading is where we are most highly connected with our angels. Our angels are omniscient. They know everything. They already have your plan mapped out for you. Why would you not follow that? I wish I would have known this in middle school and high school. I really do. I really do. I would not have been so hard on myself. So anyway, followed my heart. I ended up moving back to PA and I figured it out. And I went into the broadcast space, which made so much sense to me because love writing more than anything in the world. Love writing, love meeting people, love talking, as if you couldn't tell. And it was perfect. Broadcast journalism was perfect. And I felt really at home and it felt great. And then I got into the media and I started seeing things that I didn't want to be exposed to. And I was not happy. And I ended up going into entrepreneurship later. And it was all the journey. But listen, if I would have just said, this is my life purpose, right? I made that one statement. This is my life purpose and I'm going to stick to it. A lot of people do that. And a lot of people are still trapped in this mentality. Your life purpose can fluctuate. It can change. You are human. You are designed to mold yourself. You are designed to stretch your soul and your spirit and your connection to higher self. You are designed to do that. So long as you lean into resistance and you allow yourself to. But because so many of us were raised on people-pleasing ways, not making any assumptions, but I'm just going to say from personal experience, we feel that we have to have it figured out. And that our life is perfect because we followed through with that one thing. And perhaps that one thing is truly bringing you the most joy. And I totally respect that. And I love that. I hate seeing people who are in the opposite situation. They're just doing it because it's a job. They're just doing it because it brings home the cash. They're just doing it because this. It hurts me so much to see that because oftentimes when I talk to people like this, there's no joy. The heart is empty. It's just the transaction of it all. And I hate to see that. I really hate to see that. I have never operated that way in my life. And yes, my parents might have seen me as a flight risk, but I think it's the most empowering to live this way, to wake up every day and choose resistance so that you can achieve the ultimate joy. And that's what life purpose is. There is no real answer to that. I don't believe that there is. We put so many labels on things, right? We put so many labels on things. You have to have a life purpose. You have to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. You don't. You don't. Some of the most world-renowned, well-known inventors didn't invent things until their 50s, right? What would you say that was your life purpose when you were 20? No, it could have completely shifted because we have to learn. I talked about this in episode 1. We have to get into the darkness. We have to sink into resistance in order for us to elevate to the next level. People hear me talk about this all of the time on social media, but it's true. We have to allow ourselves to feel through it so that we can get to it. Okay? Busting some more rhymes today for you. I seriously am the corniest person ever. We already knew that. We've already established this from the beginning. We know. Okay, Kat, relax. But you do. you've got to feel through it. And so many people are afraid to do that because we were taught for so long that we have to know it all. Maybe we were taught by our parents, whoever your guardian was growing up, maybe they taught you the same thing, because it's all generational. It's all passed down to you. It's all passed down to you. They were taught the same thing. So of course, they're going to be convinced that that is the right way. And remember, in self-sovereignty, there is no right or wrong for you. The truth of the matter is, some of us have experienced lives in the past, spiritually speaking. I'm not trying to be weird. I know this is very strange for those who might not have ever considered this. I get that that's really, really weird. And I don't want to come on here and act like I'm some spiritual healer or something. It's just, these are things that are true. There are people who come back in the human form into this lifetime. Their souls come back to heal something. And so maybe their decisions look bad on the surface, but there is a reason they're happening, because it's an act of healing something else from a past life. It is really crazy. It really is crazy. I get that that's very crazy sounding, but if you actually look up this research and you start to really dive into the soul, you'll start to see there is so much more to this lifetime than we could ever even conceptualize in the human form, in our temporal selves. There is so much more to this. And so when people say, what is your life purpose? And I've always felt that pressure my whole life. It doesn't really exist. It's essentially a mirage. I think we live out our life purpose, quote unquote, in different experiences. It can kind of be a theme. Is it a purpose in this life? Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe we don't have to put so much pressure on it with a label. Maybe we don't have to do that. So if you're ever feeling like, I don't know what this is, and the coaches in the coaching industry specifically, they run into this so much because they feel like they have to have this, like, this is my purpose. And of course, yes, you're catering to a certain type of person or people. That is your job as a coach. You're here to help a certain type of people. But in the soul journey, it's hard to really figure that out. You've got to give yourself some grace. And this is succumbing to what everyone else wants us to think and believe. This is the people-pleasing thing. And people-pleasing is putting it very gently and delicately. This is what it looks like. And we start to avoid our own journey. We start to avoid our inner voice saying, hey, listen, I think you should just go through it and feel it out before putting pressure on yourself to be a certain way, or to think a certain way, or to have a certain purpose, or to target a certain person, right? We ignore that inner voice. And that's where we set ourselves back. We need to follow through with heart. We really have to open ourselves to listening to the guidance that is divinely delivered to us. The minute we start doing that, we start seeing the world in such a different way, in such a higher frequency. Things that maybe mattered so much to us in high school or when we graduated, all of the pressure around that and the stress of life, it just doesn't matter as much anymore, because we realize we're here to fulfill ourselves and live out our joy. That is what we are designed to do. So I want you to take that message with you today. If it resonates with you, let me know. You can leave a review, DM me if you want to on social media at The Confidence CEO. You can let me know how it resonates with you. I'm so happy to have you guys here. As always, stay tuned for the next episode.